a very remarkable entertainment coming to you almost live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Gimbel. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Mr. Buddy Brooke, who might be even funnier than he thinks. Ms. Dottie Ann Lee, who has her own presidential secrets. And Happy Kind and the Mirth Makers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now your host and mine, Mr. Barth Gimbel.
Wow, thank you very much. Good evening and welcome again to Fernwood Tonight. I'm Barth Gimbel, and they know... Thanks. I just can't... I can tell you from my own personal experience that... this means a lot, thank you. You know, when a newcomer moves into let's say a mini metropolis like Fernwood, it can take, quite some time for him to get his bearings and make new friends. It happens so quickly for me. Frankly, if I hadn't had the advantage of being on television here every weeknight, it might have taken me weeks or months, actually, to find and cultivate those kind of close, intimate relationships that can last a lifetime if you play your cards right. But I started thinking, as I often do, about the people who don't have the advantages I enjoy. People who, when the good Lord was passing out intelligence, charisma, and brute good looks, some people were just out in the other room getting something cold to drink, if you know what I mean. Oh, hi, Jerry. How was your lemonade?
Oh, fine. I was thirsty, boy.
Plenty of ice?
Yes.
Good. I've also been thinking of what a shame it is that you usually have to be a movie star or a great athlete before you get immortalized in a wax museum, and that's the truth. Wouldn't it be great if just ordinary people like, I was going to say you and me, like yourself, could be depicted in a scene from our ordinary lives in wax? Well, one night after the show, the two thoughts suddenly came together, bang, and a great idea was born in the wreckage. And that idea is simply to try to pay you back for all your kindness and support by lending my name, Barth Gimbel, to persuade you to help finance the Fernwood Wax Museum. Imagine walking into an imposing-looking building down on L Street or something and seeing not Babe Ruth, not Humphrey Bogart, or Marilyn Monroe, but Merle Jeter, maybe, or Charlie Hagers and Virgil Sims, and all our good friends and neighbors here in Fernwood, from right here. And they'd all be in wax. What we're talking about here is the first wax museum, where you're on a first-name basis with all of the statues. And we'd all be immortalized in typical activities. Maybe Connie Bushman from the Pet Center could be down there holding a little wax beagle.
She'd love that.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Sure. And you got Virgil Sims about to roll under a Chevy. I felt so Mexican for a moment. To check the linkage.
Or the wax linkage.
Or the wax linkage. It'd all be wax, right? Our own Jerry Hubbard could be there, perhaps even a little bit more lifelike than he is right now on the show. We always tease each other. A newcomer arrives in town, let's say. The first place he would go would be that wax museum. Get to know all the statues, and then when he meets the real people, he'd already know their names and what they look like. The more you think about it, the more it kind of makes welcome wagons seem a little bit old-fashioned. And, of course, if anybody moves away from Fernwood, we could just melt them down and keep the block wax in storage. And I think a project like this would also answer once and for all that tiny minority of malcontents who keep complaining that Fernwood doesn't have any culture because we don't have a museum. So come on, okay? Let's all get waxed. If you'd like to help get in on the ground floor of what I think is the biggest tourist attraction since that Stuckey's truck stop opened up on I-85. Yes. Now's your chance to help us out, okay? Here's Jerry to tell you how you can help.
That's right, Barth. Just call us here at the station, or better yet, send a cashier's check or money order with your donation to Wax Fund, Fernwood Tonight, Post Office Box 78924, Fernwood, Ohio.
Okay. Hope we can get that going.
Yeah. I'd like to straighten something out. We had a call earlier this morning from some ladies who represented a group of women who were in the armed forces just after World War II, and there was a little confusion about that as the Wax Museum. That's not the Women's Army Corps. They were quite concerned whether they'd have to appear in their uniforms with cartridge belts and... but although they are Fernwood residents, I said we will consider them if they could dress in In civvies.
If they're wax, they can be in there in wax.
Right.
Absolutely, but not just because they're wax are they going to be in wax.
Right. And let's not forgive the women who pitched in during the war.
Let's not forgive them? I think we should forget
them. Well, some of them...
Was that lemonade? Oh,
Maybe he's been sitting there a little too long.
Boy. Our first guest tonight is no newcomer to show business, that's for sure. He's been at it for years now. He's just never gotten it quite right, or so I've heard. He calls himself a comedian. But until we know for sure, let's not extend any definitions out there. Let's just call him a curiosity. That's safe. Please welcome Buddy Brook.
Energy crisis. There's good news and there's bad news. The good news is Detroit has a car that gets 90 miles to the gallon. The bad news is it runs on coffee. You know, the Italians built a new small car. It's called the Mafia. You open the hood, and there's another hood. Hey, seriously, folks. President Carter is trying to save energy. He just lifted the import quota on enchiladas. In fact, we need all the gas we can get. Not funny. Oh. Hey, but seriously, folks, the Arabs are getting rich on the oil crisis. In fact, I know one Arab who's so rich, he wears contour sheets. Hey, but seriously, folks, my career's been going really well lately. I just got back from Hollywood. Naturally, I flew there and back. I took a no-frills flight. I don't want to say it was cheap and dirty and overcrowded, but my row was chained to Kinta Kunte. Hey, but seriously, folks, a lot of people ask me, Buddy, why do you use the tambourine and the whistle? It is because of my very good friend, Abe Vigoda. Abe Vigoda said to me, Buddy, what? With your act, a little music wouldn't hurt. Thank you very much.
One after another. One after another.
Yeah.
Woo, you don't even give a guy a chance to breathe. You're the first Tri-County area comedian we've ever had on the show. I guess I know why now.
Yeah. Some of those jokes I hadn't even heard. I could hardly keep from laughing. I loved it there. I thought you were just great. Thank you, Jerry. And I liked it. Yeah. You have that in order, the whistle and the tambourine, and then the...
Spent hours on it, Jerry.
Just to get it in a certain order.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as the first nostalgia comedian. I figure, why waste my valuable time making up new jokes when there are lots of great jokes from the comedians of years gone by?
Of course.
Anyway, they're not going to complain about my stealing their material. Most of them have died.
Incidentally, for the benefit of some of the poorer families in the Fernwood area listening in, who think maybe, you know, the people that don't have enough food to eat on their table, etc., you may think that he was using a real fish here. No, we don't waste food on Fernwood tonight. This is a rubber fish, okay?
Just clowning.
Of course, if they're real poor, they wouldn't have a TV set and they can't hear this. So if you do live next door to someone who is quite poor, I don't know what kind of neighborhood that would be, where you have one house with a beautiful set and next door not even enough money for food. But if you do live in that kind of neighborhood, run next door and tell them that had they seen this, it was rubber. Okay?
I don't want to mention that because it'll stir up feelings, and then why don't I have a TV set? Why didn't I watch it? And what was it really a fish?
Right.
So better just drop the whole subject.
I think so, too. And you might want to use that. Okay? We'll be right back after these words. Stay with me. It's always in the same order, then?
Yeah, first the tambourine, then...
Yeah, then there was... That's great. There has recently been a wave of books. This is one of them. About ladies who have had affairs with former presidents of the United States. They're books about alleged lovers of Presidents Roosevelt, Eisenhower, Kennedy. There's none on Truman yet, is there?
Not that I know of, no. He was always out walking, taking those brisk walks. He probably didn't have time for that.
The buck stopped there, but no women. Yeah. Tonight we have with us a lady who claims to have had an affair with our current president, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Her book will be available soon. It's called Jimmy Carter was nuts about me. She was growing a penis down here at the multi-level. You might want to use that in your act.
Yeah, thanks.
Or just get up and have readings from this. Could it be an improvement? Her name, incidentally, she's out here. The author is Ms. Dottie Ann Lee. Good taste.
Yeah.
You're lovely.
Oh, well, thanks.
Dottie Ann, according to this book, you seem to be the one who was responsible for putting that big smile that looks like that refrigerator showroom kind of smile that our president has, putting that right on his face. You apparently had quite an affair with Jimmy Carter.
Well, I prefer to call what we had deep love.
Deep Love, I saw that film. Was that you? Looks familiar. No, it's not.
No, Jerry. Dottie Ann, when did you first start seeing Jimmy? I guess we can call him that, huh? We're on a first-name basis, at least you are, right?
Well, I was just a young girl back in Plains, you know. Jimmy was 18 years old, and Barth, I have to tell you, for both of us, it was love at first sight.
Wow. And your actual affair started then?
No, are you kidding? I was only 7 years old. There's a lot of laws in Georgia against things like that. And anyway, now listen, we had to avoid those scandals, you know, that might interfere with Jimmy getting in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
But even back then, I mean, we just knew in our hearts, we just knew that we were destined for each other.
Well, that's great. Puppy love is all very interesting. I noticed it's up here in the front. But can you get right down to the good stuff, Dottie?
Well,
When did this romance start heating up?
well, it was a few years later at choir practice.
Okay. Okay.
Jimmy, he really turned me on, you know. I just love a man who can sing and smile at the same time.
I think we all do. Yeah.
And I just knew that he was singing and smiling just for me.
Oh, now listen, wait a minute. Maybe I'm missing something here so far, but when was the first time you two, I don't know how to put this really nicely for television, first time you two got together?
Well, Barth, it was a church picnic.
Jimmy took you to a church picnic?
Well, no, but he was there. He was there. And you know how romantic a picnic can be, you know. I could just tell by looking at him, you know. I could just tell he was looking at me and eating that piece of knockwurst, you know, and I just knew that he was lusting after me in his heart. I just knew it.
In his heart. Dottie Ann, I don't want to sound overly skeptical or put the old kibosh on your book here, but were you ever actually really close to Jimmy Carter so far? I haven't heard
Well, of course. Let me tell you about the drive-in, okay? You want to hear about it? Oh, okay.
All right.
It was a wonderful moonlit night, you know, and we had so much in common. Popcorn, lightly buttered, Eskimo pies, and jujubes. And the movie had been on for about 10 minutes, you know, and he kind of leaned back in the seat and he put his arm up on the seat like that. And
that's when he kissed you?
no, he was sitting in the car up ahead of me.
How about Roslyn? Did you know Roslyn there in Plains?
Well, no, Roslyn was real hard to get to know, you know, especially for me because I never did meet her. Everybody in Plains was real surprised when Jimmy started going out with Roslyn because before that he always kind of went out with popular girls, you know. I guess he just got tired of pretty girls. I don't know.
Oh, well.
I guess I shouldn't have said that, huh? But I know it's okay because I know that nobody watches this show.
Well, it's quite a story, and it's all in that book over there on the floor. Well, Jimmy Carter was nuts about me. It's the kind of book I think everyone would like to have, especially people who have like a brown decor in their living room, because it has a brown binding, and you could put it right on the shelf, and no one would even notice it, and I think that's the best way to have a book like this. Jimmy Carter was nuts about me, and I think you're just a little nuts yourself. Thank you for being with us. We're going to be right back after this word. Stay with us. That's all right. We're back. You know, we talk a lot here on the show about Happy, Kind, and the Mirth Makers. Actually, as you might imagine from hearing them play, these guys are not just full-time musicians. Our bass player, Eddie Thomerson, for instance, only happens to be, by day, one of Southern Ohio's most successful real estate brokers. So, Hap, rather than playing Roll Out the Barrel, why don't we just scrape the bottom of it and get Eddie over. Eddie, put your bass in escrow and come on over here, okay? Eddie Thomerson. Nice to see you. Eddie, I would imagine between plucking those strings at night and flipping through multiple listings every day, your fingers must be busier than the fingers of a one-armed paper hanger.
First off, I got to tell you that playing with these guys over here is really a great thrill.
Oh, great.
And you get a genuine feeling of accomplishment when we all end a tune at the same time.
Yeah, and you've won your share.
But I'll tell you, there's no satisfaction I know of, Bart, like taking a young couple and putting them in their first home.
Well, it's like taking an old woman and putting her in her last home. Eddie, what's the market like these days? Is this a good time to buy a home?
Well, Bart, we have a saying in the real estate business, the best time to buy a house was the day before yesterday.
So if you bought a house the day before yesterday, you'd just be realizing the profit of it today. Or if you wanted to buy one today, you'd have to wait 2 days to look back and say that was a good time to buy.
That's right.
In other words, all the people that bought a home today will be quite happy 2 days from now. Is that what you're saying? Okay, fine.
But that's so transient. It passes the next day, and then they say, I should have bought one 2 days ago.
Well, then the problem is having to buy another house 3 days from now.
Yes.
I mean, how many houses does a person need, really? Why don't you tell us about a few homes in particular, Ed?
If you're into water-oriented recreation, this place has a West Coast-type hot tub. Looks like a huge redwood beer vat. And you just fill that beauty with hot water, and you just kind of sit in there as long as you can stand it.
Oh, boy.
Sounds like a good place to wash your dog, too. And if you had one of those great outdoor parties, you could probably drain the water out and fill it with beer and use it for what it was originally used for.
Oh, I guess you could, Bart.
In both cases that you've described, I'm real sorry about that, incidentally. I assume that there are full houses to go along with these fantastic playrooms, right?
Some of them, including a restroom. In my book, a full house does not beat a straight flush.
Bedrooms, the whole deal, Jer.
Okay. Well, Eddie, you're quite a guy, and in this half hour alone, you've gone from music to real estate, and now I think we better get back to music, for the property value of this area right here goes down any further. Can we get our band leader, Happy Kind, to come over here right now? Eddie, I'm afraid you have to sit next to this lovely lady here. How you doing, Hap?
This is a lovely lady?
No. I meant Eddie would have to sit next to the lady. Who would have to sit next to, Hap? You're looking good. Look almost as good as you sound, if you can do that.
Well, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I've just been going around laughing and singing all day in this. Because I'm just so excited for me, or I, and the Mirth Makers. We have cut our first recording album.
Woo.
Isn't that wonderful? And it's called Music in the Key of Mirth. Yes, I have it right here.
Oh, boy. Can we see that?
Can you see that?
Can you get that? There's half right there on the cover and half of Eddie. That's great. We come through with all the money, huh? Right. Hap, I noticed the album cover. I can see from here. It's a beautiful cover, as I said. What are you going to do tonight for us, Hap?
Well, tonight we're going to play the third cut on the second side, which is called, as I called it, an American music medley. Right.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a kind of a history of the music in our republic here from the time it started up to the present time.
Well, it's kind of a catchy title. You want to go to it?
Well, I'd love to.
Okay. You're going to probably need Eddie. Yeah. Sell him a house on the way over, Ed. Okay. Involve themselves in something we take kind of seriously around here, music. And they're going to give their American music medley. Let's hear it for them.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a feather, stuck a pony in his hat and drove a for leather down in the valley to hear the wind blow, blow, blow. The man down at the station early in the morning, drink to me only with thine eyes that working on the railroad. Old acquaintance be forgot. God bless America, America. God shed his grace on the old bucket, the old bucket, the old. I wish I was in the land of cotton, old MacDonald and a pot. G-I-E-I-O, Susanna, won't you wait for me tonight in the wildwood, just before the battle, mother. Home on the range, where the deer is deer, what can the matter be? If all those endearing young shark, which I raise on so-called on daisy, never tell till the cows have come on ye face. Twilight, when Johnny comes marching home again, hooray, hooray, when John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the gloaming.
We'll be right back after these important words. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Jim Hart. Also appearing at tonight's show was Steve White as Buddy Brooks, Dottie Archibald as Dottie Ann